Hello, YouTube universe. My name is Graham, and I go by JanCloud92, and this is going to be tutorial episode number 2. I'm going to go over how to use Live Editor in FIFA. Alright, so there are some misconceptions about Live Editor, and I'm going to go over some things. On the screen right now is I have Live Editor pulled up. So Live Editor is made by Aaron Actu, and he has all of his information on his GitHub. And I will put the links to his websites on GitHub in the description below for you to be able to get there and navigate there easily. Everything I've learned on how to use Live Editor is from his Wiki tab, which I have pulled up here in the Live Editor's website. So first things first, there are two live editors, and he kind of just explains that in the very first paragraph here. There is a live editor, which is a standalone program that you can open up while inside FIFA. All you have to do is launch the program, and then while you're inside FIFA, the button F11 to pull it up, and it'll just like come on as an overlay to FIFA, and from there you can make some changes. Personally, I don't think it's as robust as the Live Editor cheat table, and what Aaron Actu calls it, the FIFA 21 cheat table. Personally, I think the cheat table allows you to do more things to it than the standalone Live Editor program. Positives and negatives to both, but what I use is the cheat table. I don't necessarily use the Live Editor program. I'll go over some of the what you can do in the Live Editor, but I think for this tutorial I'm really going to show you how to use the cheat table, because the cheat table is less intuitive, less a little bit more complicated than the Live Editor. Live Editor is just pretty straightforward. It's a really nice UI. You can just go in and push buttons and things work the way it should. With the cheat table, there's a lot more steps, a lot more things that you can mess up on. So first things first, navigating to the website. Make sure that you're on the one that you want. I mean, there's two different Live Editor web pages, so just be aware of this fact. One is the cheat table, one is the application. So in order to go to get to the download, because I know that's what you guys will want to do first. In order to download it, navigate the code tab, which I'm circling right here, and then it's like the home page for GitHub. And on the right, on the right like ticker kind of thing, releases are right here. And the latest one, the most recent one, is always the one that pops up. But you could see the older releases if you click this button right here. So this is the same for both versions. It's just the way how GitHub works. So if you go into the cheat table, same thing. Go to the code. On the right hand side is the releases. The most recent one shows up right here on the pop-up. The very important thing to know is that both of these, the cheat table and the Live Editor, have their own wiki tabs. And the wiki tab is just like a tab where it tells you what you can do, how things work, like some guides, some helpful things to know. And it's very short for the Live Editor standalone program. If I navigate to the wiki tab for the cheat table, as you can see, is very long, way more robust, and that just kind of gets along with what I was saying earlier, how there's more things you can mess up on. Internet 2 suggests to use Cheat Engine 6.8.1. What Cheat Engine is a program that runs while you have the other game or whatever that you're trying to edit. While that is running, then you launch Cheat Engine and you pick what program that you're running that you want to be able to edit. And then from there, you load in a cheat table. And the cheat table is usually a pre-programmed set of options that someone has written for Cheat Engine to allow you to make changes to the game quicker. Not every game has a cheat table. Sometimes there's just not a lot of modders out there that would make something for it. But if you could find a cheat table, that is always super helpful if you want to make edits to your game. Cheat table is not a replacement for FIFA editor, which I went over in the first tutorial. So most of the things you do in cheat table, you just make the changes and then you go to save and you have it for next time that you want to play the game. The live editor app, most of its changes are not to career tables and they're not to squad tables. Data that you can edit temporarily, but it's not going to save. And what I mean by that is a lot of it is changes to legacy files that you can change. It will save a lot of the legacy files that are used in FIFA to the RAM storage, and so you can change things temporarily while you have the game on. But every time you launch the game, like say if you went to bed for the night, turned off your computer, come back, and you want to play the game with the same changes that you made last night, you're going to have to redo all those changes. Personally, I prefer to use cheat table, but I understand there's a lot of different things that you can do in live editor that you can't do in cheat table as easily. So one last thing, and then we'll get into making changes in the game. I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. I just wanted to show something really quick. If you scroll down after you passed all of these screenshots, there's like a bulleted list here, and this list looks exactly how it looks in cheat table. Like while you have Cheat Engine open, it looks just exactly the same, and so that way you can navigate to where you're looking. Like if it's like 20th on this list, it'll be 20th inside the Cheat Engine table. So I just was trying to get to something super quick. So something like this, player development. If it has this little parentheses desk, that means that there's a description, like a little guide on what that specific item does. So if you click on desk, for short for description, it will tell you, like, okay, author, game version. There's going to be a risk level. Every item that he has a description for, he'll list a risk level, and what that means is, will it accidentally harm or screw up your career mode save? What that means is, some of these changes, you may make them and then you hit save, and then it'll be like, can't save the career mode, it's corrupt. That means that there was something that you did inside cheat table that it didn't like in FIFA, and it thinks that the save is automatically corrupt and you can't load it again. This is a problem. It's just sometimes whenever you make the changes in RAM, it doesn't translate all the way to the actual table, player table, career table, whatever. It may not actually get through all the changes. It may crash halfway through. So just be a warning. If you're doing something, check the risk level first. This one has a did player development script description. It says risk levels 1 out of 5, very small chance that the script will harm your career mode save. All of these scripts, it's just like cheat table it's a code, computer code. It's a line of code, which is a script, and what it does is it tells what line of data and stored in the RAM what it needs to change. Like, go to this line of data and they're stored in the RAM, change this number to this number, and then run. And then it does that. That's a script. So the script can manipulate the XP points received by your players. Players receive XP after each match once per week between Saturday and Sunday. There might also be other factors which can add XP to your players. XP needed for each level can be found in the XP level requirements.csv. So this is the table within the files of data that's within FIFA that controls how much XP your players can earn. So if you activate the script, and you can change the multiplier or bonus XP. So that means there's probably some sort of multiplier number that you can increase, so that way every week your players will earn more or less XP. And what that does is it changes your overall rating of your player week to week basis. Or you can just give them a bonus XP, which is just a one-time amount of XP for a specific week. It's not going to keep recurring each week, it's just one time. But you can set a number for all of your players on your team. That's what this does. I'm not going to go through... I just went through one description. There's so many other things that you can do. Not every one of them, but most of them have a description. As you can see, there's all these blue highlights in here. And just you could click on any one of them. It'll tell you the risk level. There's no chance that this one will harm. And it tells you what it does. So it's super nice. Please get familiar with this Wikipedia if you're going to use the cheat table. Just because if you have any questions, hey, what does this do? Check the Wikipedia first. See if there's a description. Then you can make your changes based on what you think thoughts are. So, before you can use Cheat Table, you have to have Cheat Engine installed. Cheat Engine has removed its 6.8 versions of Cheat Engine. That's kind of old. That's like 2 years ago, Cheat Engine. And it doesn't support it anymore. It's now on like Cheat Engine 7 point something. You can use the newer versions of Cheat Engine. It's not recommended because the newer versions seem to not work as well with the cheat table. You can try and find on Google 6.8.1 or 6.8.3. Fifa recommends using 6.8.3. I used 6.8.1 for a while. I also used 6.8.3. There's really not a lot of differences. Just a little bit more stability changes that was made between the two versions. But like I was saying, you can't download those from Cheat Engine itself. So you have to do some Googling. Make sure whatever website that you do find it on is a safe website. Because your computer will say, hey, this download has a virus. Your computer will not understand that Cheat Engine is a fine application. But like he says in this paragraph, says turn off your internet before you run its installer to avoid installing unwanted software. At times, if you do install Cheat Engine 6.8.1, there are built-in malware softwares where it just like wants to sell you stuff all the time, and those will alert your computer and make your computer think those are viruses. So whenever you do install your Cheat Engine, make sure your internet's off, disconnected, what have you. I would personally, I would have to unplug my Ethernet to my desktop if I wanted to install this. Just because if you're on your internet, it will automatically install those unwanted software. Cheat Engine 7.1 and newer also work fine. Like I said earlier, you could use the newer versions, but they may also have some malware, so just make sure your internet's off whenever you run the installer. First thing you do is turn on FIFA. As you can see in the background, I have the FIFA running. Next thing you need to do is launch the cheat table. If you have Cheat Engine installed and you already have had the CE trainer used, I guess you would say, then you could just double click from the CE trainer and it will launch Cheat Engine and load the CE trainer all at once. If you haven't done that yet, make sure to launch Cheat Engine first on your first install, then hit the folder. You'll see in a minute there's a little folder that says what CE trainer do you want to use, and then you navigate to the CE trainer after you had downloaded the cheat table. So I'm going to launch this and you'll see this UI start up. Okay, so it says it's ready to use. There's two nice, easy things that you can use. There's a UI, which is pretty simple, but you can't do everything from the UI. You can only do player editor, team editor, schedule editor, transfer players, and match fixing. The thing that I was showing you on the wiki is all here. It's all right here in this list under Cheat Engine after the cheat table had been launched. So this is very handy to do some of the other like database changes that you may want to do specific to career mode, for instance. Like if you want to fix your player stamina or fix your player sharpness, or do other things in here. What most people would like to do with cheat table is probably the player editor, so transfer players, and schedule editor. So that's why those are in a UI. And then I'll get into some of the more obscure things later, which is over here in this table. So the things in the UI are all like not gonna they're not gonna break your squad file. Any changes you make in here inside the UI will be totally fine. No issues with your career save. Why did I say squad file? I don't know. Anyway. So its default is Iniesta because he has got the smallest player ID, so it just loads the first line in the table, which is always organized by player ID. So it's always going to be Iniesta first. So if you want to edit a specific player that's on your team, best way to do this is go to Squad Hub and then highlight the player that you want to change on your squad. So say like Sven Ulrich. He's 32. He lost an overall point. Now he's 77. Say I wanted to change that, so that way he's not losing a squad point. So that's an overall point. Squad point. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So what you do is you hit the refresh button, and then it pulls up Sven Ulrich. And with the refresh, so it pulls him up because I have him highlighted in my game, and it like goes into the RAM files and says, "What guy do you have pulled up on your game?" And then it says, "Oh, I pulled up this guy." So anyway, there's a lot of things you can change about him. You could change match sharpness down here, which is new to FIFA 21. You could change his fitness also. So if he's like super tired or whatever, you could change that. You could change his wage. You could change his squad role, which is very important for FIFA, because FIFA 21, for whatever reason, it thinks that any player that's crucial has to play every single game. If they don't play every single game, the player will complain to you in your messages. So you could go through all your players and change from crucial to important, so that way they won't complain whenever they're tired. Because sometimes they may have like 0% fitness, and you don't choose them because they're not fit to play, but then they still complain because their squad role is crucial. They think they should play every single game even though they're injured or something. It doesn't make sense, but this is one way to change that. So if you change it to important or rotation, they won't be mad. Like it'll be fine. You can change if you find out that someone's retiring and you don't want them to retire, you can change that to no. Attributes. So this is where, like I'm giving you that example where he lost an overall point, but I want to get him back, get the overall point back. This is where you would do that. This is your skills. You can individually change each skill by just typing it in, whatever you want it to be, or you can increase the average, or the group of skills. The thing is it's kind of hard to get, like, yeah, there we go. It's hard to get it right on the money. So I moved it. It was 75, moved it to 76, and his overall went up to 78. So since I made that change, make sure I hit apply change, and this will pop up if it worked. And you hit OK, and then from here you can go into your game and hit save, and then it'll be saved, and you don't have to worry about having to refix it next time you run the game. So you could give your player traits. So right now he has saves with feet as his one trait that he has so far, but I could give him another one like flat kick or long throw. This place for traits, this is the best way to change what trait your players have. If you try to do it inside RDBM, which is another place where you can edit players and edit your career mode save, you would have to know the exact code for whatever check marks you have checkmarked. And what I mean by that is that every time you change a check mark on here, it's a different line of code, and there's like over 1,000 possibilities because there's so many different things you could have checked. So say if I want a chip shot and stays with feet, that's its own specific line of code. It's its own like ID number. So that's like probably 1,500. And then I say I don't want to be chip shot, I want to be long passer. That's a different number. So there's no information anywhere on Google to know what ID number is what combination of traits. So the best way to do this is use Live Editor if you want to change a person's trait. And it's right here. Appearances, this is also, you could change the height, the weight, you can change their hair. This is also where you can change their head ID information. So you can also add tattoos in here. You could change the body type. So are they skinny? Are they fat? Are they look like Akinfenwa? Yeah, right here. Do you want to use Pele's body, or Rujule's body, or Romelu Lukaku's body, or Jamie Vardy's body? Like, there's some specific player bodies that they had scans. They scanned their entire body rather than just their face, and so they use these bodies for those players. Or you could just use the generic bodies like average and lean, average and tall, tall and lean, stuff like that. So that's right here. This is handy for whenever you're using a customized face that you may have downloaded from the website somewhere, and the face looks too big or too small. So what you do is you go in here and you change the size of the bodies, and you can make them bigger or smaller. If they have a bigger head, make the body bigger. Not lean, not skinny, but more stocky. Then the face will match the body a little bit better. Here's the accessories. I don't usually mess with the accessories because they're codes, so it's kind of hard to know. I don't know what all the codes are. Like, I don't know what shoe color 31 is. I don't know. So I skip over accessories. Anyway, and then there's clone, which means that you can make a copy of this guy. Everything will be exactly the same in your database. Then there would be two Sven Ulrichs. Not totally sure how that's helpful. That's the player editor. I already applied changes, so I can do that later. Teams editor. As it loads, I'll go through it. Hopefully it loads. There you go. So it loaded. So if I type in Hamburg, if I could spell it right, I hit find. There it is. Update. Maybe. Sort of. There we go. So now I can edit my own team from here. Top, there's overall attack, midfield, defense. These are the stars ratings that you see. Like if you're in kickoff, every team has a star, like from 0 to 5 stars. This is where this information comes from. You could change foundation year. You can change how many titles you've won. You could change your rival. You can change your club budget. You could change the club worth, the stadium capacity, Champions League wins, where you're the previous Europa League winner. No, this is important because if you were, then you'd be going into the Champions League. You could change the popularity of the team, domestic prestige, like how well known are you locally versus how well you're known internationally. Profitability, this helps with how much money you get at the end of each year. And then youth development, how just kind of a rating, like how well is your youth development. You can also change the team color here. This is where the little scoreboard up here in the top left, and then the little people. This is the colors that it will use, like the little people on the radar. You could change the formation. This is the default formation. This is where you would change that. And you could like pick on a person, and then you pick a person and the available players, and that's how you change the what players are doing what. And then this is where you change the thing there, and then this is like attacking, balanced, defensive. And here's manager information. You could change the ID, the name, the surname. I'm doing Maurizio Sarri. He's from Italy. I gave him the head asset ID. This is body type code, which is what you saw earlier. Lean, heavy, whatever. For managers, it's not the same. It's some sort of ID. So I don't usually mess with that too much. There's height, weight right here. Change the hair color, facial hair, blah 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 blah. So outfit ID, this is important, especially for whenever you're getting the generic white kit problem. That happens sometimes. I don't know why. It's just a bug in FIFA. But this is where you can change it back. So just set it back to whatever this outfit ID was, and it will change it back. Put this ID somewhere, like in a notepad or something, save it, so that if we do encounter that bug, you can just run live editor and fix it really quickly by doing this team editor thing. Then you can apply changes, and then it'll save and move on. Alright, so for the schedule editor, you need to go into calendar. And then go back to cheat engine. Refresh. This just shows you the month that you're in currently. So I'm currently in August, I think. No. Yes. August 8. Yeah. It's in British format. That's why I was confused. But this is where you can separate your games out. So say you have a cup game, a regular game, and then a tournament game like Europa League or whatever, all within the same week. That's a lot of games. Your people are going to be super tired. You can, in here, change the dates of the game so that way you can space them out better. And then after you change the dates, you hit apply change, and then leave the calendar, go back in the calendar, and then you'll see that the date changed for those games. Alright, last but not least is going to be transfer player. So for that you have to go back into Squad Hub. And then set my controller down, go back to transfer player. Yeah, okay. So you can make your own transfer. So to do a transfer, you're going to do custom transfer. And you type in the player ID that you want to transfer. I don't know, 41, because it's Iniesta. And then you type in the team that you want him to join. And then, I don't know, 1 for Arsenal. So he's on Vissel Kobe currently. And I want to trade him to Arsenal. I'm not playing as Arsenal right now, just FYI. And then you can give him a release clause, yes or no. You would put in the dollar amount here. You put in his contract length, probably just 1 year. And then whenever you're done, you hit confirm. And there you go. But there's an import export, which means you can import a list of transfers. So you can say you made a whole bunch of transfers inside FIFA, and you want to save all those transfers that you had just done for next time that you want to start a new career. You can export that list of transfers and then import them and then run them all, and then you'll be good to go. Leaving that editor. There's links here. Become a patron. You can go to the Discord. You can launch the link to the live editor app. It's all right here. So say we don't want the UI anymore. We're done with the UI. You can either hit X here, or you could just uncheck this GUI button right here. Unchecked it, disappeared. The way Cheat Engine works. See, I'm in 6.8.3. If you want to see a list of items, you click the box, and then it shows up everything under here. If you want the GUI to come back, just click on it. It comes back. Alright, so under here is all the scripts that you can use. I'll go through some of the ones that I use fairly often. So, as you could tell, most of this is career mode specific. There are a few scripts in here that are not career mode related. You could use a free fly camera. You can change the game settings. This is where you could change the camera mid game, or you can not pause whenever you alt tab. So like if you are trying to switch screens really quick for like streaming or whatever, you can run this so you can quickly flip back and forth, and it will automatically pause the game while you're playing. FIFA database tables. So this is where you can edit anything inside the player tables, edit anything in the edit player table. So I mean, you could change people's names in here. You can change team data here. You can change manager data here. Formation data. A lot of that's really it's more complicated to do database edits in Cheat Engine because it may not save. So just be warning, the simplest, most error-free way to do database changes is to use RDBM. RDBM is Revolution Database Master, and there'll be a video on how to use that later. So I won't get into it. I'm just saying I don't use this very often. You can give them a unique sprint style. You could change the club finances. So if you want to give yourself a whole bunch of money, this is where you change it. And right now I have this number. But if I wanted to change it, I would double click and change to whatever number I want. It works right now. So sometimes this may say 0 or blank or not even work because you may not be in Squad Hub or you may not be in budget. It will not be the right number here. And so in order for it to work properly, I back out and I go to Office Finances and then I go to Budget. Okay, so that's how I know this is the right number. See, it says 44726082, 44726082. And I could change this to whatever I want right here. And that is the best way to change how much money you have in your budget at any time. If you try to do that in RDBM, it's not going to work very well. Because in RDBM, it's more of a at the beginning of the year budget versus a right then and there budget. So say you used up all your transfer money on August 31st. It's the close of the transfer. And there's one last player you want to get. This is where you do that. Player development. So like, oh, there it is. This is where the XP, this is what I was showing earlier whenever I was on the wiki. This is where you change the multiplier. You can change the bonus. Editing player data. You don't need to use this because of the GUI. Manager, this is where you can give yourself manager rating of 99 always. Just have this check marked. Don't have to do anything else, just have it check marked. If you fast forward a day or change the screens, this will change from 84 to 99. You can make your manager never retire. You can make your manager ID editable. So you could change your ID. I don't know why you would want to do that. Hire scouts. So this is like for transfer scouts, not youth academy scouts. For transfer scouts, you can click this anytime you want to. So say if I go into where is it? Global Transfer Network, and I want to hire a scout because I have that check marked. It's 5 stars and they're free. And I could pick any one of these. They're all 5 stars. Doesn't matter what country they're from. Doesn't matter anything. I could just click on one, hire them. Now I have a free 5-star scout. And that's because I had this check marked. Or you could just set it. The information right here. You could change their name right here. Switzerland 5 stars. I mean, you could give them whatever. You could just give it to yourself rather than having a pick and choose one. Job offers. So this is where if you wanted to get a job offer from a specific national team or a specific club team, I do this say I'm using the Pfeiffer's Realism mod, expanded national team mod, and I want to try out like what if you know Maxwell from his YouTube, he did San Marino. This is how you get that specific job to be San Marino's manager, is you would go to the national team ID, find out what San Marino's ID is, type that in here, type in that ID, and you'll get that job. If you're using Pfeiffer's Realism mod with the expanded national teams mod, there is a resource in there that has a list of all the IDs of all the new national teams. You could just ask me on the Discord, and I'll tell you where it is if you don't know where it is. Works the same way for the club team. Just type in whatever ID of the club that you want to change to. You could give yourself whatever wage you want. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. Like, the manager wage doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything for you. I don't know why that's a thing in here. Here's some play as player. So like if you're in career mode, play as a player. You can unlock some things. You can positive decision. Oh, you can, whenever you put a transfer request, sometimes they say, heck no, we're not transferring you because you're worth too much for us. You can check mark this and it'll automatically just say yes, sure, we'll go through with your transfer. You can create your own transfer offer. So like, I want to move to a specific team. You can do that right here, and you can give yourself a higher wage in the offer. Whenever you do give yourself a transfer offer, whether that's a manager offer or a club offer or a team offer, whenever you're playing as a player, you have to simulate a day or two. So, forewarning, if you're on the last day of the transfer window, you cannot do it this way. Just because you have to be able to skip a day in order to get the offer. I say that because sometimes with the like if you're in the main window and you could like skip an hour on the last day, you will run out of time before you get the offer. So just so you know. You can also give yourself all of the accomplishments here. You can make them all 9,000. You can give yourself every single accomplishment, or you can give yourself the best grade whenever you're doing your trainings. Morale, you can edit all of the morale, every player's morale in the team to whatever value that you want. You can change all the players' form in your team, change all the stamina to 100, set all the sharpness to 100. Alright, so Youth Academy, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the Youth Academy. You can force through a new report, so you don't have to wait a month. You can generate players with a specific ID. Don't know why that would be useful. So this is the one I use fairly often, like guys, where you can send a scout to any country. Well, here's an example. I sent one to Moldova. Just because I was trying to pick a. Well, I think that was. Well, maybe you can do that in default FIFA. Maybe not. I don't know. But for an example, I'll just kind of talk you through it, I guess. Sorry, guys. But you click check mark, send to any country, check the nationality, and then you can just click to change. And then you could pick any country in the game. Like Zambia or Zimbabwe, Yemen, like countries that you can't, like Turkmenistan, Tunisia, Trinidad and Tobago, like you can't tell them to go to those countries without using this way of doing it. So what you do is you select, I don't know why comma ball is a country. Um, you could tell them to go to the Cape Verde Islands, and you hit OK, and then leave this checked. You go into here, you tell your person to go to any country. Doesn't matter, just pick a random country. But whenever you head back, after you tell them to go to any country, that country will not be here. It will be the country that you selected on the cheat engine. So instead of England, since I picked Cape Verde Islands, it would be Cape Verde Islands. What else is there? Under Youth Academy. You can yeah. You can have all 3 of your scouts in England if you wanted to. It won't let you do that default FIFA. You can tell them to give you maximum 5 players per report. You can give them. You can change the minimum age for promotion. So if you wanted to promote a 14-year-old, you could change that. You can customize the potentials. You can customize the age range. You can customize to give you 100% for weak foot and skill moves. So you can really cheat here using this system. If you wanted to do a youth academy career mode save, you could really cheat the system there and get like 5-star academy graduates per season. Global transfer, you can reveal player data, so that way you don't have to scout the player first. It's helpful sometimes. So like if you wanted to see if you wanted to know who you're coming up against, say if you're coming up against Tottenham Hotspur, you can get all of the Tottenham Hotspur players immediately, so that way you know like what their overalls are going to be. You could kind of strategize what their speeds are, like who you're gonna be coming up against, so that way whenever you go to set your squads, you can kind of keep all those in mind. Match settings, you can change what stadium you're about to go to, how long the links are, what time of day it is, what the weather is. So say if you're tired of, say you're playing in England and you're tired of it raining all the time, you can make it sunny if you want to. Transfer hub, you can change someone's release clause that you have scouted to be 1. Sometimes they may have just moved to a new team. You can allow the transfer to go through, so that way, like, because sometimes you may not even be able to approach the player because of some other reason. You can allow the loan approach, the same deal. Say they don't want to go out on loan, you can click this and it'll let you make them go out on loan. You can change to player contracts. This side changer, so you can. This is one way to do CPU versus CPU. If you have the realism mod, you can also do CPU. So you could just simulate a game that way, or gameplay changes. Come on, there we go. So match timer, unlimited substitutions, home team, away team are never tired. So you could play an entire game and they'll never get tired. I don't usually mess with those too much, as you can tell. Free and unlimited releasing of players. So it costs money sometimes to release a player from their contract, especially if they have a really big contract. You still have to pay off part of their contract if you want to release them early, so you have to pay money, but this would make it free. And sometimes the game will, the board of directors will yell at you if you release too many on free. So this will let you release as many as you want. You can freeze the lineup if you don't want the player to lose points or gain points. You can run this, but apparently it's not stable. Make sure you're on the right tabs in the game in order to do the thing that you want to do in Cheat Engine. So if you want to change the finances, you need to go to finances. If you want to change a specific player, you need to go to that player in Squad Hub. If you want to change something in the middle of a game, you need to go into the game first, then change it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to say thanks for joining me. And this was a tutorial on how to do FIFA 21 cheat table. Just so you know, Aaron Act 2 has cheat tables for some of the older versions of FIFA. He's got FIFA 17, FIFA 18, FIFA 19, FIFA 20, FIFA 21, and looks like he'll do FIFA 22 as well from his GitHub. All of those things you can access from his GitHub. You can download the latest release. And the cheat tables are all set up the same way as that you saw on this one, so it should be fairly simple to follow. Yeah, thank you for joining. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more tutorials like this. Thanks. See you later.